historically serve as triggers in Russia for either political crisis or major political change. Last Crimean War in mid-19th century produces major transformation and reforms in Russia. Bad news from the Far East during the Russo-Japanese War in 1905 become trigger for the revolution of 1905. The Russian losses in World War I serve as a trigger to the two revolutions of 1917. The war in Afghanistan and Russian, Soviet at that time, involvement there is certainly a precursor to the reforms of Mikhail Gorbachev and eventually disintegration of the Soviet Union. And now we see a failed winter offensive and revolt of the units that actually was really decimated by the fighting. With really is taking over a number of major Russian towns, with the possibility of split in the military command. The information that we get now that a number of generals are either arrested or interrogated, so they're certainly not in the public. And that's certainly an indication, first of all, of the weakness of the regime. To a degree, that regime was actually was incapable even crushing this revolt. They made some sort of a strange deal where on the one day Prigozhin is called by Putin himself to be a traitor, and another day the criminal investigation against him is closed. That's not, whatever happens with Prigozhin in the future, this is not a really sign of the strength of the regime. And that also suggests that things like that can continue if the war doesn't go the way how Putin really wants it to go. So from that point of view, if we have a successful Ukrainian counteroffensive to a degree that the defenses were successful early in the year, that can very well produce another political crisis and can end war sooner than we can imagine now. But if there is sort of a stalemate that will continue, it can lead certainly to the sort of solidifying of Putin's power on Russia, and maybe rebuilding, recapturing some of the political territory that he certainly lost with this coup. So it's essential what happens in the coming weeks and months, and what happens very much depends on the supplies of the ammunition and weaponry to Ukraine.